music is kind of like hitting a ladder. Like if you have a nigun in your meditation, then you can travel much higher, much faster. Okay, so without further ado, we'll give this a shot. I'm gonna try to guide us through this, and you should try to make yourself comfortable. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable with that.
Feel free to spread out a bit if you feel it.
Yeah, do what you got to do, and take a few deep breaths. And try to get yourself relaxed. Okay, so let's start focusing on the lowest level of the soul, the nefesh, which experiences these five senses, our five senses. And think about, for a few seconds, think about your five senses that you're experiencing right now. Think about what you're feeling, what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're smelling, and what you're tasting. What we're going to do is we're going to go one by one. We're going to try to detach ourselves on some level from each of these senses. So we'll start with the easiest two. The easiest two are the sense of smell and the sense of taste. Because probably they're not active right now. Those two senses are usually dormant. And but we should make ourselves aware of the fact that right now we're not really smelling anything that good or that bad, and we're not really tasting anything. So we're pretty much removed from those two senses. Okay, now let's move on to feeling, to touch. That's probably the easiest sense to remove from. Think about all of the things that you're feeling right now. You could be feeling something under your hands. You could be feeling the ground on your feet. You could be feeling warm because of the temperature. So now, try to soften this experience of feeling, not by trying to totally remove yourself from it, but just by not focusing on it. Try to disengage. Try to not let it interest you or affect you. Anything that you're feeling, anything that you're touching. Okay, now we're going to move on to the two hardest ones. Seeing and hearing. So with seeing, if your eyes are closed, you probably weren't paying attention until right now to what you were seeing. Now pay a little bit of attention to what you're seeing. You're probably seeing static flashes of colors in your mind's eye. So now, take a step back from those images that you're seeing. Not to pretend that they don't exist, not to pretend that you're not seeing them, but don't let them pull you in. Don't let them interest you. Anytime you see something that's pulling you towards it, that's interesting to you, try to ignore it. This is the nature of the five senses. They try to entice you and pull you to them in order for you to experience and attach yourself to the physical world through that sense. The goal is not to totally ignore, not to totally dismiss the senses, but to not be focused on them. To be aloof from them. Now, throughout the course of this meditation, different things with the different senses will entice you and they'll interest you. So when you get that invitation from one of the senses, just gently decline the invitation. Say to yourself, I'm not focused on that right now. I'm not interested. And try to remove yourself from it. Now we'll move on to the final sense, which is hearing, which is the hardest, because that sense right now is the most stimulated of all of our senses. Take a listen, focus on briefly on what you're hearing. The trees and the wind, the cricket, my voice. Now try to unfocus on all of those sounds. You'll still hear them, but they don't particularly interest you anymore. You're disengaging from them. The goal right now is to be in a state of kind of like a daydream. When you're in a daydream, you're still experiencing your five senses, but your mind is somewhere totally else. Your mind is not focused on your physical experience at all. Try to focus inwardly. And totally remove from focus the input from the five senses. And again, if this is your first time doing this, you're going to feel pulls from all of the senses. Right now you're probably feeling a pull from your ears that are hearing the trees that are blowing in the wind. Each time that happens, try to not focus on it. Acknowledge that it's making that sound, but you're not interested. You're thinking about something else. We'll rest here for a minute. Okay, now we'll move on to level 2, which is the level of the ruach, the level of the emotions. This is a very peaceful meditation, so if you're starting to feel sleepy, then you're welcome to stand up. So, with the emotions, we're doing the exact same thing that we did with the 5 senses. First, make yourself aware of the emotions that you're feeling right now. So we're not always focused on that. You could be feeling relaxed, you could be feeling happy, you could be feeling a little bit anxious. Try to be honest with yourself and identify what it is that you're feeling. It could be that before this meditation you had something on your mind, something was bothering you, some type of stress in your life, something you're worried about. So just for the duration of the rest of this meditation, try to lift yourself above those emotions. Good emotions, bad emotions, make yourself indifferent to them all. Just feel totally at peace. Okay, now we travel up to the third level of the soul, the neshama. And the goal is going to be the same. It's going to become no longer focused on our thoughts. This is the hardest element of this meditation. There's an endless flow of thoughts that's racing through each of our minds. It's human nature. We're not going to try to stop thinking. We're not going to try to stop the flow. The same way that we're not trying to stop our senses or stop our emotions. The goal is to remove yourself, your sense of self, from your thoughts. Separate the two. And to try to realize that you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are ultimately rooted in physicality, just like the emotions and the senses. They're external. When a thought arises in your mind, don't push it away. Just try to make yourself not interested in it, not focused on it. Try to envision that you're looking down at your thoughts and just observing them. And they're gently coming in and out. And you're watching them as an outsider. You're watching them as something separate from the thoughts themselves. So now, in this state, you're totally at peace. There's nothing pulling you from your five senses. Nothing pulling you from your emotions. And no thought that interests you. You've transcended your normal physical experience of this world. Try to hold on to this, try to stay in this place as long as you can. And we'll introduce some music. The thought that you should have while singing along or listening to the music is that your true self, your true inner self is here. All of those other things, those other experiences on the three levels are external to you. They're not who you really are. Who you really are is right here. This existence which is above all externalities. It's a spiritual existence. This feeling of spirituality, a feeling of nothingness, a feeling of nullification is very, very close to the divine. The source of our souls and the root of our souls is God Himself. And as we perceive closeness to God, our desire and our yearning for more and more of that closeness to our source, to God, will grow stronger and stronger. Try to think about, as we sing this nigun, connecting more and more to our source. Longing, reaching higher and higher for that peaceful, blissful experience of connection to the divine. Now I'm just going to play the music, and for the last few minutes of the meditation, try to reach out to God, to Hashem, even if you've never tried this before, and in your own words express your true inner feelings to Hashem, to God. Express your longing to know Him, or longing to long to know Him, or whatever it is that's on your mind. In this way, we form that deepest bond with our Creator, and this becomes an experience that will be a source of inspiration for each of us for a long time to come. You could just do this in a whisper so that no one else can hear. We'll just take a few minutes. Okay, we're now going to come back down slowly. Keep your eyes closed. And we come back down into our bodies, into our physical experience of this world. I come back down into your neshama, into your thoughts. Then we go back down into the heart. We can pick up those emotions that we left off with. And then go back down into the nefesh. Refamiliarize yourself with 5 senses. And the real purpose of this was not to stay in that place of suspension from physicality and a total spiritual existence, but really it's to bring that bond, that closeness that we reached to Hashem, to bring it back down with us into our physical experience, into the body, into our everyday existence. So that we know that behind the shell of every single experience that you'll have in your life, behind all of that you'll know that at the core this is a spiritual existence. At the core, those are all external representations of one spiritual existence that truly exists, which is Hashem himself, which is God. So the Sukkah, back to the Sukkah. Sukkah is meant to be the most vulnerable, the most open of all places, because in that place we come to the realization that all of the physical protections were really just mirages. They were really just fake. The one true protection is Hashem himself, which transcends all physicality. A person can feel totally protected in the most dangerous places if they know that they're truly connected in that way to their Creator, if they know that they're truly connected to Hashem. So the Sukkah is a removal, it's shedding off the physicality, just like we did in this meditation. The Sukkah represents a meditation of shedding off temporarily for a week, shedding off all of the externality, all of the physical protection, and realizing that it's all just Hashem. The Anani Akava themselves were clouds. They were not, clouds are not the greatest protection. Clouds, you can put your hand right through a cloud. So the essence of the clouds of glory themselves is just Hashem surrounding the Jewish people. There's no physical protection there, just like the Sukkah. It's not a physical protection. It's an awareness of the closeness that we have to Hashem, because Hashem is constantly surrounding us. Alright, so maybe we'll end with a upbeat song, an upbeat nigun of that I'm sure some people know. I think it's also Karbach, but I'm not sure. The words are from Rabbi Nachman, whose yard site was 2 days ago, of Kol ha'olam kulo Kesher Tzar Me'od. The whole world is a narrow bridge. The Ikar and the main thing, Lo Lefachad Klal, is not to be afraid at all. Which is exactly that's what we were talking about. That's what Rabbi Nachman's teaching in that Torah where this is taken from. That just to remember that at the core we're always protected, and Lo Lefachad Klal, you have nothing to be afraid of. If you're walking with Hashem and you feel the clouds of glory around you, then you'll always feel secure. You'll always feel protected. And that's the essence of the Sukkah. That's what we're supposed to focus on during this week. Kol haolam kulo yigasher tzar me'od, yigasher tzar me'od, yigasher tzar me'od. Kol haolam kulo yigasher tzar me'od, yigasher tzar me'od. Gesher tzar me'od, Gesher tzar me'od, Gesher tzar me'od, Olam kulo, Gesher tzar me'od, Gesher tzar
Hey,
Gesher Tzarmeyon, Gesher Tzarmeyon, Kol Olam Kulo, Gesher Tzarmeyon, Gesher Tzarmeyon. Shkoyach.
Rabbi, what was the name of the first nigun that you, the very first?
It's called Hine Yamim Ba'im. It's
Really nice.
it's yeah, it's a Karlbach song. Hine Yamim Ba'im, I think is what it's called. Yeah, it's based on a verse in Tanakh. I don't remember the whole thing in Hebrew.
Sorry?
Hine Yamim Ba'im.
Is there anything that's said about like in a kavod, like we also say like, a name, like answer means the same root, yeah?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. I never thought about that. That's a good point.
And he said, like, I think it might have been on Shabbos, he said something really interesting. The mind and the water, like those are necessities. Like, without food, and it's like sustenance.
Rabbi Capel said it, yeah.
Oh,
Or no, was it Rabbi Capel? Maybe it was, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I heard that from someone else, actually, from yesterday, from Rabbi Epstein in Cherry Hill. Yeah, that explanation. But,
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
all right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I
Thanks
love
for having
the
me.
incorporation of the guitar. It's
Yeah.
really- yeah.
That helps like
Yeah.
calm me down.
Good.
Especially on
Yeah.
the planes.
Yes.
Yeah, that was.
Welcome to West Philly.
So we were under attack.
Like, this is real.
I planned that actually. Yeah. I paid them before I came here. Just circle overhead for like 5 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.